This flower ceremony that we do is beloved by many in our congregation, many in all of our Unitarian Universalist congregations. And this year is a particular year because it was 100 years ago, June of 1923, that the very first flower ceremony was practiced. So this came from a minister in Czechoslovakia, Norbert Capek. He had traveled with his wife Maya over to the States, met Unitarians here, and when he went back, he's founded a Unitarian church in Czechoslovakia. And one of the things that was happening at that time was they were recovering from World War I. And there were a lot of people there who were lacking food and warm clothing. There was a lot of poverty, a lot of pain, a lot of fear still going on at that time as they were trying to rebuild. And so he gathered this community of Unitarians who were seeking something different from the Catholicism that had been the rule of religion during the war and prior. And so being able to have some tolerance of religious practice was a little bit new. And so Capek came to this community and was trying to find ways to bring some of this beauty that he knew, some of this. His prayers often included both mother and father rather than just father as a divine identity. And so he was really trying to break out. He looked to nature for examples of how to live and how to love and how to find the sacred. At the time, like we do this all the time here now. We're like, why only mother and father? Why not more genders? But 100 years ago, that was a huge step. And so he was looking for a ritual to help people bind together. So, what is it about ritual that does this? Remember, this was from 1923 in Unitarianism when there was a lot of intellectualism going on, a lot of iconoclasm. And so ritual was one of those pieces that the Catholics did. We don't do that. Well, here comes Capek trying to offer something different than the Catholics, and instead of saying we won't do any rituals, which a lot of Unitarians did over here in the States, he said we're going to do a different ritual. He wanted something, because what ritual does is it's a way of doing tangible something that's intangible. The flowers mean something. That you all brought the flowers and will take flowers away is not just an economic exchange of goods. That's not what's happening. There's a meaning behind all of this because we step into something deeper. It's about the connectedness. That community had very little. But when Capek walked around his hometown of Prague, he saw all of the blooming flowers. He saw the gardens that people were able to have. And that idea came to him to do this flower ceremony. And so on that Sunday, he invited everybody to bring a flower, whether it's something from the roadside that grew wild or something cultivated from their own garden. Everybody brought their own flower. Now, at the time, what they did is they had flowers in the back of their sanctuary, or empty vases back there, and they filled those vases up with the flowers as they came in, and then the women of the church would arrange them in beautiful bouquets, and the children at a particular appointed time would bring the flowers to the front, and Capek would say a blessing over the flowers that was really a blessing over the people. You know how ritual works, right? And then the people would come forward and take a flower different from the one that they brought, or even if they hadn't brought one, they took a flower, because that's what it means to come into a community like this. So that all of this abundance of difference and variety, that was kind of his point, was that he was gathering a community of people that were all different, that had variety among them, different ways of knowing and of loving, right? And so he wanted the demonstration that the flowers offered in their variety of smells and of colors and of shapes to also reflect the community he was trying to create with them. As this story progresses, from 1923 until about 1939, they would do this once a year. And even his wife, Maya Capek, brought the ceremony to New York City in 39. She traveled across to a Unitarian church and brought the flower ceremony. That's actually how it got to our country, and Unitarians started doing it. In 1940, Norbert Capek was arrested by the Gestapo, by the Nazi police, as a political dissident because they saw him as dangerous. The words in our chalice lighting from Susan Frederick Gray, who's currently our president of the UUA, talked about how those who fear how dangerous love really is behave in ways that are awful. They arrested Capek, they took him to one of the concentration camps, and that is where he died. Prior to his death, though, he wrote letters back to his congregation, encouraging them. He was known among the other prisoners as somebody of great comfort to them. He continued to do what he could to bring beauty and light into the world, even when he was there in that devastating experience where ultimately he died. This is not simply beauty and flowers and wonderfulness, and isn't everything smiles. The real world out there does not like this variety that we celebrate and cherish and lift up. There are places in the world where people are not taken to concentration camps yet, but there is fear out there. And that fear for this kind of beauty, for this kind of relationship and experience of life, is really scary to some folks who want conformity, who want everything to look the same. Our message, the message that Capek was delivering, is still vitally needed. You need it. I need it. Folks who are LGBTQ, the number of legislative issues that have gone forward to ban transgender people is astonishing and frightening. We need to speak up. We need to not just have flowers be the messengers. We need to be those messengers. If you're not LGBTQ, go be a partner. Go be an ally. Go show up. Get close enough so that you're also needing to be brave. If you are LGBTQ in that community, maybe go find a librarian and help them put more banned books on the shelves. If you are a librarian, maybe write your congressperson about banning guns. If you are a congressperson, call me. I have a list. If you are online and not able to come forward and take a flower, I invite you at some point today to find a flower, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. Find a flower and take it to somebody. It could be a friend, it could be a neighbor, it could be a complete stranger. But part of this ceremony that we're doing, this ritual, is a sharing. Share the flower. Maybe you're going to take a flower because you're here in person, and perhaps find a way to share that flower with somebody else who wasn't here today. And also find a way to share your courage, to share that message that this experience is holy. This is the religious community we are creating. This is the world we want to see, we want to be. In a world without end, let's make it so. I invite Monica to come forward one more time. Norbert Capek wrote an abundance of prayers and hymns. And so we're going to read one more piece in Czech and in English. This time it's words written by Capek that are in our hymnal. And I think that we decide English first and then, okay. In English, the Flower Communion Prayer by Norbert Capek. In the name of Providence, which implants in the seed the future of the flower, and in our hearts the longing for people to live in harmony.
Ve jménu prozřetelnosti, která do jádra ukládá budoucnost mohutného stromu a do srdcí vkládá budoucnost bratřelého lidstva.
In the name of the highest in whom we move and who makes the mother and father, the brother and sister, the lover and loner what they are.
Ve jménu toho nejvyššího, co námi hýbe, co matku činí matkou, bratra bratrem a sestru sestrou.
In the name of sages and great religious leaders who sacrificed their lives to hasten the coming of the age of mutual respect.
Ve jménu mistrů a vůdců božských, kteří vlastních životů nasazovali, jen aby uspíšili příchod říše lidskosti.
Let us renew our resolution, sincerely to be real siblings, regardless of any kind of bar which estranges us from each other.
Pro dobro vlastní a prospěch svého národa obnovme své předsevzetí, že si chceme být upřímnými bratry a sestrami bez ohledu na jakékoliv přehrady, jež odcizují člověka člověku.
In this holy resolve, may we be strengthened, knowing that we are God's family, that one Spirit, the Spirit of love, unites us, and endeavor for a more perfect and more joyful life. Amen.
V tom svatém předsevzetí sílíš nás vědomí, že jsme jedna boží rodina, že jeden duch, duch lásky, nás spojuje a jedna snaha po dokonalejším a radostnějším životě nás vede. Tak se staň.
Thank you. Before we sing our hymn,